What if I told you that a huge portion of what we call human psychology might only apply to about 12% of humans? For over a century, the science of psychology has claimed to unravel the universal complexities of the human mind. But a revolution is underway, and it's built around a single powerful acronym: WEIRD. WEIRD stands for Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic. Groundbreaking analyses have revealed that a shocking 96% of participants in psychology studies come from weird societies. Yet, these societies represent only about 12% of the world's population. This isn't just a minor statistical issue. It's a fundamental flaw that has led us to mistake the psychology of a small, privileged group for the psychology of all humankind. Today, we're diving into the global uprising in psychology, a movement to dethrone this weird bias and build a science that is truly human. To understand how psychology got so weird, we have to go back to its birth in 19th century Europe. When Wilhelm Wundt opened the first psychology lab in 1879, the field was deeply rooted in Western philosophy. It aimed to discover universal laws of the mind, much like a physicist discovers laws of motion. The problem was, the people doing the discovering were almost exclusively white, educated men from the upper classes. Women and minorities were systematically shut out. This homogeneity of researchers naturally led to a homogeneity of research subjects. As psychology took root in the United States, researchers turned to the most convenient population available: university students. What began as a matter of convenience soon became an entrenched norm, creating a self-perpetuating cycle of weird research. This dominance was amplified by colonialism. Western powers exported their scientific models across the globe, often imposing them on colonized populations and marginalizing indigenous knowledge about the mind and well-being. The consequences were profound. At its worst, this narrow psychology was used to justify social inequalities. The eugenics movement, for example, found supporters among early psychologists who used flawed research to argue for the genetic superiority of certain races. Even as the field evolved, the unquestioned assumption was that findings from a study of American undergraduates could be generalized to all of humanity. We now know that assumption is profoundly wrong. The over-reliance on weird samples has had far-reaching and often damaging consequences. The most significant is the illusion of universality. Things once considered fundamental to being human have been shown to vary dramatically across cultures. Take visual perception. People from weird societies, surrounded by buildings with straight lines and right angles, are more susceptible to certain optical illusions, like the famous Muller-Lyer illusion. People from cultures with less carpentered environments don't fall for it as easily. Or consider fairness. In economic games like the ultimatum game, people in weird societies tend to offer a relatively fair 50-50 split of a resource to a stranger. But this isn't a universal human trait. In some societies, much lower offers are common and accepted, while in others, norms of extreme generosity prevail. Even our very sense of self is culturally shaped. In the West, an independent self-concept is the norm. We see ourselves as unique and defined by our internal traits. In many non-Western, collectivist cultures, an interdependent self-concept is more common, where identity is defined by social roles and relationships. This single difference has massive implications for everything from motivation to emotion. When these culturally specific findings are mistaken for universal truths, the results can be harmful. This is especially true in mental health. Diagnostic manuals like the DSM are still heavily influenced by Western ideas of mental illness. This can lead to misdiagnosing behaviors that are considered normal or even adaptive in other cultures. Western-style talk therapy, which emphasizes individual expression, may not work for cultures where a more collectivist approach, involving family and community, is the key to healing. By focusing on this small, atypical slice of humanity, psychology has created a skewed and ethnocentric norm. Anything that deviates is often framed as abnormal or deficient, perpetuating harmful stereotypes and marginalizing the experiences of most of the world's population. But a powerful counter-movement is growing, pushing for a more rigorous, ethical, and accurate science. At its core, this is a quest for a more complete understanding of what it means to be human. Diversity is a catalyst for innovation. A diverse group of researchers asks new questions, challenges old assumptions, and develops more creative solutions. This push has been bolstered by the rise of two crucial subdisciplines. First, cross-cultural psychology, which systematically compares psychological phenomena across cultures. It's through this work we've learned that even foundational concepts, like the